Welcome to the Battle Bunker Flagship Readiness Competition, broadcasting live from San Diego, California, where 64 athletes from around the world will compete for a total of $20,000 in cash. Athletes from all corners of sports, including OCR, cross-training, powerlifting, and endurance running, are set to compete inside the Chula Vista Elite Athlete Training Center for a one-day event, including Event 1, the Triple R, Event 2, FUBAR, and Event 3, the Hybricon Obstacle Course. Let's introduce your host for the day, Jason Clark, U.S. Marine veteran and cross-trainer, and owner of Obstacle Racing Media, Matt B. Davis.
Good day, everyone. Welcome to the first ever Battle Bunker. I don't know how you can not be psyched watching that intro. It's 64 athletes. It's $20,000, 3 events. As he said, I am your host, Matt Davis, my host for the day. On the other line, Marine veteran, strength and conditioning coach, all-around stud. It's Jason Clark. Good morning, buddy.
Hey, good morning, Matt. How are you, man?
I am super well.
Yeah, awesome, brother. Awesome.
It is a balmy, 64 degrees there this morning?
Yeah, man. Interesting day, right? About a 20-degree temperature swing from sun up to sun down. So definitely could come into play today.
So they're still in the dark, getting ready for this first event. Let's talk a little bit about it. The Triple R. You want to break it down?
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Let's get after it.
So it's a 2-mile ruck, a 2,000-meter row, and an 800-meter sprint. It's the first event of the day, and it's a 3-part event. What are the smart athletes going to do to pace themselves for something like this?
Yeah, 50 pounds and 35 pounds for the females. It's not a light load. What'll be interesting to see is how they attack the terrain itself. What's the elevation involved on the climb? What's the descent on as they come down? And really who has trained under load will be very interesting. Those that are confident in their ability with the load, I think can attack this 2-mile effort, knowing that when they get onto the rower, they're going to have a little mix now of bringing the upper body back into play. So, personally for me, I really think it's going to be interesting to see who's confident in that rower. I think will show us the difference in this event, actually.
A lot of folks watching this probably are watching Rogue. Do you want to compare our ruck? That's right. I said our ruck to their event they had.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Rogue Invitational took off on they had a 1-mile underload, and it was 30 pounds for the males, 20 pounds for the females. Then they dropped the ruck with some sandbag, 100-pound sandbag over hay bales with another mile. And then they finished it out with, again, unloaded miles. So, for us here, we've got 2 miles under load with a row coming in between it with a half-mile sprint to finish it. Rogue had a 1-mile under load, 2 miles out of load. So very similar event, but yes, the different right here is going to be the fact that it is 50 pounds under load for the 2 miles. So you were coming right out the gate, locked and loaded on a back load and ready to get after it.
So we're throwing some of your comments up here. Kenneth DeLapp wants to know, is anything under 5 miles an actual ruck? Throw us your comments. We'll put them up as we can. Let us know who you're rooting for today. As I said, 32 men, 32 women. Someone asking where Austin is. We will see Austin's handsome face very soon. He is the reason we're all here after all. As far as I know, this is his money that he's giving away.
Hey, I was in comms with Michael Eckert. I said, hey, man, did I miss anything last night? Were there any fights? Did anybody fall in love? And he said, no, man. He said, all was good. It was pretty calm. He said the athletes were real relaxed and ready to get after it. So absolutely excited to see all the faces of Hunter and Austin and Michael and everybody on site today. Should be a good time.
Are you saying that's what's going on behind the scenes at some of these events? People are falling in love?
Hey man, it's an athlete training camp that is full of emotion and full of endorphins. I don't think we can ever eliminate anything.
And people in short pants.
That's it. That is it.
All right, so here's a great question. Marvel Jedi, what do we think the time on event 1?
Yeah, fair. So I think if we look back at let's take Rogue yesterday. Event 1 for them was about 30 minutes at the top time. So you figure they were averaging about a 10-mile pace to complete in all actuality. What I'm thinking right here, I'm going to go with that 1,000 meters, I think, or excuse me, that 2,000-meter row. Add in with a half-mile sprint. I'm going to go. We're going to probably be right around that 30-minute mark also.
And again, I kind of want to, you think there's some people out here, and we're going to get to some of these names, who know they probably can't win this whole thing. So they're like, you know what? This first event, I'm just going to go toe to toe. I'm going to go toe to toe with Ryan Kent, who's a Deco, champion. I'm going to go toe to toe with a High Rocks world champion, Chris.
Yeah, here's the interesting part about this that I would say differs from anything we're seeing right now. Nothing is hidden. You have the entire game plan in front of your face. You know exactly what's coming for you. So yes, I think you're going to have some that are going to come out and go all out to try to disrupt the scoring early. And even if they can't, even if it throws them for the rest of the competition, they had the one event that they put it all in after.
Yeah, man, this is going to be exciting. I know a lot of these folks from OCR. Some of them I don't know from CrossFit. I know we've got a pro volleyball player. I know he really wanted to bring kind of all walks of life. And I think that's a great question, because I'm someone who doesn't come from the CrossFit side. And sometimes I'm super impressed from CrossFit. And sometimes I'm like, this is people jumping on boxes and walking on their hands.
Yeah. And there's the beauty of what CrossFit did for us all, which reminded us that fitness can look and feel many different ways. And we needed that reminder as a society within the fitness industry itself. So 100%, I agree with you. We are going to have a very mixed bag of competitors out here with a lot of mixed bags of skill sets. But, at the end of the day, I think what Austin has presented here is a beautiful picture of fitness. Can you do many, many things really, really well? And I can't wait to see it.
So we're going to be going to the third member of our team, Miranda, here shortly, down here in the field. Do we know which track this is? What school track this is?
So this is part of the training center itself for the Olympic athletes. So this is I know yesterday Michael Eckert was actually racing a couple of the decathlon Olympic athletes on this track yesterday. So they were out training and in the midst of them setting up. So it was pretty. This is where our athletes go to train to get themselves ready.
Peter wants to know if Leon or Ida can win this. So Leon and Ida are world-class OCR athletes. Leon is definitely one of the smaller guys. I talked to him and I was asking how he might get ready for this. I think he tried to do some cramming, but I don't think you can really cram fitness. So we're rooting for him. But I mean, what would you recommend to somebody who's short, who's going to be, probably not as quick on the rower and definitely not as strong as these big bulky dudes?
Yeah, who has the advantage in something like this is interesting, right? Height, a lot of people like to deal with the differences of height and all that. This is what I'm gonna say. Whoever's core is conditioned is going to take this first event because you're going to be from the jump. You've got 50 pounds pulling you the other way, and you're going to transcend right into this dynamic of quads getting burned and back muscles getting burned one more time on the road. So, hey, I would not be surprised to see a short competitor take it because they know how to handle their strides a little differently.
Yeah, it's gonna be a doozy. I think we're almost getting ready for Miranda. They got some lights getting ready to go here.
Yeah, beautiful sunrise, isn't it?
Yeah, I missed mine in Atlanta. Here we go. Let's throw to Miranda.
Good morning. My name is Miranda, and we are out here in Chula Vista. We are here for Battle Bunker's very first flagship competition. As the sun is getting ready to rise behind me, we have 64 athletes who have prepared for a day of fitness. The very first event is going to be called the Triple R. It is consisting of a 2-mile ruck. Women are going to be wearing 35 pounds and men 50. They are going to be completing a 2,000-meter row and then finishing with an 800-meter run without their ruck. It may seem like a simple triplet, but I promise you, simple does not mean easy. Hunter McIntyre, the race director of this event, has given athletes an opportunity to really shine and turn that last 800 meters into more of a sprint. So not only are they going to be showing their endurance, but they are going to be given an opportunity to really rise on that leaderboard. Stick with us today. You are going to want to be in on all the action. I'm going to send it back over to Jason and Matt as they're going to call our very first event.
Thanks, Miranda. All right, man. Now I'm excited. Now I kind of wish I was there.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. Nothing better than the starting line of any event.
Britt says, your podcast yesterday led me here this morning. The social media second half was super interesting too. I don't know what that means, the social media second half. You talking about my podcast or your podcast?
Definitely not me. It must be whatever you had going yesterday, man. I'm not going to lie. In the past couple weeks, I've become quite a fan of the conversations you've been leading on the OCR side. Great job you have of interesting such a dynamic of personalities and athletes. So kudos to you on that one, Matt.
Thanks. While we're waiting, I think we're going to get a nice drone start for these athletes. What have you learned about OCR recently? Did you hear about our news about focusing on a short distance event, three 1K loops versus the longer races we typically have?
Yeah, quite a uniqueness. I can say I have a taste of OCR, right? I've done my handful of them, and obviously the first one I ever did was the 5K version. And to see this 3K version is going to be very interesting. I mean, you have a all out, put it on the line type mentality, as you know, that comes with making something shorter.
Yeah, I spoke to you a little bit offline about this. And there's some guys that do a great show called the Race Brain Podcast. They really dig into nitty gritty details on athletes and just kind of the nuts and bolts of this stuff. And they talked about that the champions right now in OCR probably won't change that much at the top. In the future, we might start getting some speedsters, some hurdlers, some, pentathletes. But right now, the guys and gals that win at 5K and 10K, and even some of them do ultra distances, will probably still win that kind of event because there's just. Can you maybe explain that a little bit to folks, like why that's not a big difference, even though it starts?
Yeah, I mean, in the energy system that they're used at, and especially at the conditioning those athletes have, changing it up from a 5K distance to a 3K difference is not going to do anything to them and throw them for a massive loop. Now, what we see here this morning, right? If we said that this 3K difference was now in play and the first 1.5K had a 50-pound ruck, then I believe we might see a different athlete that starts taking the leaderboard. But as it is right now, with the energy systems they're used and the fact that they're such aerobic conditioned athletes, no, I do not believe we'll see a difference.
Let's see. I believe we might have gotten started here in the drone. It's just so dark. Why don't we go ahead and stop cams on this end, and you can still hear me. So you go ahead and drop yours out, and then we will go to here, and we'll see what else we can get. We can talk about how pretty this guy is. What do you think?
Yeah, man. I tell you, I am just jealous of the backdrop right there. What a beautiful sight.
So Jarrett Newby, that's Jay Noobs from our buddy Brent Hastert, a.k.a. the Land Shark. Jarrett Newby did really well in the Go Ruck games, which were similar to this event. He really held his own against Hunter, they had some really solid athletes. One of the Kempson brothers was there. So I think Jarrett Newby's probably going to be fighting for the podium. Maybe we can have a look at, while we're waiting for this to pop up, I think we got some athletes we can actually have a quick look at. Let's have a look at Katie, who's actually the reigning champ of the Go Ruck games and a favorite today.
Hi, my name's Katie Knight. I'm an athlete and online personal trainer and coach living in Boulder, Colorado. My accomplishments include being a phenomenal dog mom to Doug. When it comes to athletics, in my rookie year, I've racked up quite a list. So I was third place in Spartan Ultra World Championships in 2021. I was the 2021 World's Toughest Mudder champ. And then recently, I was 2022 Go Ruck Game Champion. My style of training combines strength and endurance, so a lot of running, hiking, biking, with strength training, lifting, and getting fit.
So yeah, my point made exactly. Katie wins short, strong, wrestling, running, rucking, and then wins a 24-hour obstacle race.
Yeah. And I was present for the Go Ruck games, and I got to see her and the entire lineup right there. And again, another great example of just an athlete that is really good at a lot of things. Phenomenal job that she did down there. And I tell you, Go Ruck I think Go Ruck did a good job pushing those athletes hard. And much to the conversation we just had, right? Like what changes the winner, right? What is the dynamic that enters in that shifts it from maybe the traditional OCR athlete to the CrossFit athlete, or to some sort of functional per se fitness guru out there? And I think that's what we're going to be looking for today.
So we're calling these folks hybrid athletes. What do you call them with your background?
Man, this is one that's touchy to me. Specific sport training has often really hurt the traditional population. I think it's almost a rite of passage that we all had to go through the bodybuilding split of, chest on Monday, back on Tuesday, arms on Wednesday to get anywhere. But
wait a minute, Max or JC, are you skipping leg day?
No, man. Leg day should be all the time, man. That's another, and that's where I'll get to, is the fact that, what I call them are athletes, and I believe that they represent an athlete, an athlete that is can they move through multiple planes of motion, an athlete who can pick something up, but an athlete who can also jump over something. I guess one way I like to describe it all the time is the fact that, hey, I understand what you can lift. I want to see what you can do with those same muscles that you're working, right? So you may be able to squat that, but can you jump over this? So instead of all show, we like to see, hey, there's some show to it, but it's all go.
Well, we're getting the word that we believe they did start at 9:45, so we're looking at 5-6 minutes. Do we assume they're halfway through the run?
I don't think anybody's going to be logging a 6-minute mile right now. It could be close. I will say at Go Ruck, it looks like we've got the drone in the air. But I will tell you this: at the Go Ruck games, I watched Hunter, load up on his back. I think they were at about 120 pounds of load, and he did a 1 mile at about 7:25, which was one of the most impressive things I've seen. So, I might be called a liar right here, but I would be shocked to see people turning 6-minute miles under load.
All right, we'll see if our drone can find these folks.
Yeah, what a great shot of the land, though. Wow. Beautiful playground for sure.
Yeah, we should make it out next year for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do we have those ruckers?
I'm going to go with those are just morning exercise.
You think the mall walkers are out? What do you think?
Yeah, man.
Do you remember that? Is that still a thing?
I was wondering the same thing. I do remember that, though. Oh, my goodness. You're bringing back memories now.
All right, we're getting this comment here. Check this out.
There it is, trying to call me a liar. There it is.
6:15 pace with 50 pounds. 4-second behind Hunter at the 120. Yeah, that was brutal. They did a 1 mile, just kill yourself. Women did 100, men did 120. Callie Schweikert, who's here today, came in second in that event to Alyssa Hawley. Talk about pain cave.
Yeah, and I think that comment is good, right? Like looking at a Strava of a 1 mile time with 50 pounds at 6:15, which no doubt is incredible. And then now we get to see what's that Strava about to say for 2 miles, which should be great.
Well, if you wanted to know what the Chula Vista camp looks like, this is what we're getting. Kenneth definitely seen it. All the malls are closing, man. I don't know what these poor mall workers are going to do.
Yeah. Amazon walk now.
What's up, Matthew Lira? Do you know this guy?
No, I'm not sure who that is, but good morning to you, Matthew.
Yeah, so for those of you just tuning in, welcome. This is event 1 of 3, and it is a 3-part event. As you can see on the bottom scroll here, we got a 2-mile ruck, which we think they're maybe halfway through the leaders, 2,000 meter on the rower, 800 meter sprint. We will definitely take more of your shout outs and questions here. Happy to do it. Ryan Stratus, Ninja Warrior buddy of mine, super solid guy, also an announcer. Stacy checking in from the UK. Stacy, my wife and I are watching nothing but UK and Scotland dramas on the Netflix and the BritBox. Right now we're watching a show called Shetland, or as I like to call it, Everybody Gets Murdered.
Looks like we got a few running right there that are all packed together.
Oh, here we go. Are they on the track? Nope, that's staff. No, are those ruckers, dude?
That's what I'm looking for. I definitely see one with a pack on their back right there. I would say that's an athlete.
They look tired for sure.
Can I get a pen, please?
Is that Hunter running beside him?
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, those are definitely ruckers right there.
Do you know Farron?
Farron Morgan. I do not.
I looked him up. Let's see. Farron is a British soldier from the UK. Well, there you go.
So from the UK, if it gives any shout out to you, I do know the Beaver family very well. Tom Beaver, and I also represent Beaver Fit North America from an equipment manufacturing side. So.
Well, it seems like we may not get a great look at them until they get to the rowers. Those are the rowers down there that I'm looking at, right? Where all those tiny heads are. Yeah. Here we go. So that looks like Rylan Shadeg.
Yeah, getting ready to drop the ruck in transition right here. Here we go.
I'm pretty positive that's Rylan.
Yeah, very interesting right there in that beginning technique just to get the rower moving. And now is where we're going to get to watch it play. There we go. Much different stride.
So you're looking at 10 minutes. So you didn't think he was running a 5-minute mile.
Yeah, he flew. Wow.
That is fast.
Yeah. Yep.
It's possible to get if we can get that. I can't tell who's in second yet.
Yeah, I can't tell either. And you see the difference right here, right? So that second athlete did not start stroking right away. They actually strapped all the way in to get moving. But
that's Ryan Kent coming in third right now.
Yeah.
And I think he'll crush this. We know he's practiced this a lot. He's a big high rocks and Deca guy. So the rowers, the ski ergs, I know he's put a lot of time on those.
Yeah, he's a great athlete, transitioned from the OCR side of things mainly over to the Deca side.
Hearing looks like Jared in second. Jared Newby is second. So no surprise, Rylan Shadeg, Jared Newby, and Ryan Kent 1, 2, 3. That would be probably a predictable thing. But look at the gap in the field they got.
Yeah, separated itself very early on.
Well, it looks like we lost signal for a Momo.
Yeah, I was were you froze right there at the end, Matt?
We're going to wait for it to come right back. We just got to stand by from the field.
Yeah. Yeah, we'd be as we tune back in. I think paying attention to that stroke count on the rower is going to be interesting for us to watch. You could see how much, even between the first three athletes, how much deviation was already in play of how they were going at and attacking that rower. So I'll be excited to tune back in and see how that plays itself out.
All right, we're getting another angle on the rower here. All right, so now we got a bunch of guys coming up. How much time did we say on the 2,000 meter? Because they showed up at about 9:40, about 9:56, 9:57. So they're about 2 minutes into their rows. How long did you think?
I was being fair right here to say that we're probably going to be, somewhere around the 5 to 6 minute mark on this row would be very fair for the top athletes.
So did the men go off first, or did they all go off together?
No, men are going first and women are starting separate.
Okay, someone's in 16th place. Or no, that's number 16.
Yeah, coming off to be fair, Matt, with what we were saying, I think coming off that run, I think that if we see somebody hit this 2,000 meters in 6 minutes, they are absolutely flying. Four right here.
So to recap for those that are just joining us, you had Rylan Shadegg in first, Jarrett Newby second, Ryan Kent third, and they were all, the difference in those guys was about, 10 seconds, and then the difference between the rest of the field was at least, 15, 30?
Yeah. Easily right there, man. Very, very much so. So Matt, question for you.
Yes, sir.
If you've got a competition with a rower involved, what's the most important thing about the rower that you've got to ensure?
Your feet are in snug?
That you've got new batteries in the screen.
Okay, there's Jason.
Never lower than 30 feet. Go, Wilson!
See Hunter standing there with oversight, Alston walking around.
Max, if you can maybe grab Hunter for us, he can let us know who's after the top three, or Jason for that matter. We can only see those first three. It's tough for us to tell who else is rocking and rolling here.
I love for the audience too, man, especially those that are familiar with the row. What do they see? Good technique, bad technique, and there we go. Great shot of him over his head right now. I actually hear the yelling going on.
So it looks like everyone made it to the rower. Except for this, whoever this DFL is. Or maybe second to last, so there's two free rowers. Here's a nice shot.
There it is. So Matt, I can tell you that looking at the athletes and definitely a great thing to look at is breathing technique right now. Those that are mouth open, gasping for air, and those that you can see have good controlled breathing patterns all the way through the row motion. That is going to make a big difference as they get closer to 2,000 meters.
Oh, this looks like someone showed up to the end. Pushed through.
Like we got one rower or two rowers open, but I'm not sure what that means for athletes coming in.
So we're looking at about 6 minutes now on the rower for the when the leaders got in.
Yeah, and fair to say, I think that, if somebody catches that 6 to 7 minute time frame right here, they are really flying, especially after that run. Great to hear all the motivation going on.
Who I didn't see in the top 3 was VJ. I think people would think he would be up there.
Agreed.
Not quite as strong as those guys, but definitely as fast.
Matt, do you think for some of the OCR athletes like a VJ coming in and hopping on a rower, do you think that's going to be something that he doesn't train often? Or do you think that's something that he
Well,
still
I would
gets
say
behind?
prior to this new sport we had, DECA and High Rocks, I would say no, but they had to start training on these machines and these short workouts. It changed everything because this new sport came along that kind of suited their strengths. There's no complex lifting like CrossFit. It's just moving a ball, moving a ball over a wall, or a wall ball, or a sandbag lunge. And then these two machines, the ski erg and the rower.
Somebody just hop off. We got people off.
So we're gonna guess those are the first two.
Here we go.
Rylan, Jarrett, and Kent. And so now they are going to run 800 meters with just 2 laps around this thing.
Yeah, this is where we got all gas right here. Who's got the bigger tank coming into 2 laps? We got a strong pace coming up there leading the way right now.
You're verifying the lap, correct?
Big push coming through. Nice.
Yeah, as a guy who's been in this business a long time, CrossFit has been around, almost 15 years, but this kind of event, this like I said, no complex lifting, but a definite test of can you move, can you lift, can you run, can you move your body in space. Do you think this could be the future? Mile Ruck Games, this event.
I do. And the reason I say that is I think it grasps more of the population, and I think it's less intimidating for a lot of people to even hop on a rower or go for a run or pick up a sandbag than sometimes it is to grab a barbell or grab a kettlebell. So yes, I do think there's a lot of the future we're seeing right here.
Well, we heard Hunter screaming for Rylan. I can't quite tell who's in the lead here.
It's going to be a good little final turn.
So they are coming around to the finish here. This is the 2 laps of 2. Just hearing that sea of rowers. And
all right, guys, we are out here on the track. The sun has come up. It is still freezing cold, but our gentlemen athletes have come in from their ruck, completed almost all of their 2,000 meters on the rower. We do have our top 3 athletes in place right now is Rylan Shadig, my apologies, Jarrett Newby, and Ryan Kent. They came straight in from their ruck, hopped on their rower, completed 2,000 meters, and took off. They are now on their final lap coming in, as you can see out here from the drone, and all of our men who are completing that 2,000 meters, they really had to come up with a mental game plan once they got in and really strapped in, because they weren't even close to being done yet. They still had 800 meters to sprint on the track. And like I said earlier, Hunter McIntyre, race director, gave them an opportunity to really use this sprint as a cash out. So they can come up on the leaderboard. Maybe they didn't come in first on the ruck, but it really gives them an opportunity to shine as an endurance athlete. We are going to see who comes in first place on the Triple R. Stay tuned.
All right, well, I thought I might have, thank you. I thought I saw our buddy Rylan come in. But I'm not sure what the finish line is. I apologize, viewers. We're doing the best we can here.
Yeah, definitely. I saw somebody slap a rower like they weren't too happy for a moment there.
That's VJ.
Oh, so touching the rower is the finish. Okay.
Okay, so that's Rylan.
Yeah.
Hey, dude. Nice work. I totally forgot to go to my rower. Good job. I was so frustrated about
Interesting, Matt, that we're hearing this right now, and I'm curious, is that going to impact that finishing order at the top?
I don't know.
I heard somebody say, "Great job! I forgot to go to my rower."
Yeah, so I don't. We're gonna find out. So that was Rylan, and we're gonna assume he was first. So there's you got Ryan Kent on the right.
Yeah.
You got Rylan Schneeg on the left. And I think we're going to throw back to her. We just got the note. They are.
I think, Matt, that brings up one thing that Austin has, I would say, in the battle bunker that's a little bit different that he brings from the military is the attention to detail. If in the athlete's brief was to ensure after you cross the finish line, touching your rower in time, that could be quite unique for a lot of these athletes.
Looks like we're going to get a word with Rylan. All right, let's go to Miranda.
What's up, guys? I am back with Rylan Shattuck. He just completed the Triple R and took first in our men's division today. Rylan, I saw when you came in from the ruck and got on the rower, you had a little bit of adversity. That rower wasn't quite functioning like you wanted it to. How did your mindset have to change in order to complete the rest of the workout and know that you could still come in first?
I think I had about 300 meters on the rower before the next guy came in, and I was told since my rower was broken, it just wasn't engaging and it wasn't pulling more than half the time. I started to lose that lead, and then someone said I could take off at 1,500 because they averaged out my pace that I was holding, but I knew that wouldn't be fair to the other guys, so I went ahead and just did the 2,000 meters like everyone else, and I just had to watch my lead disappear, and then I was like, well, I can still bring it back on the run, so I ran as hard as I could around the track twice, and I did cross the line first, but I didn't touch my rower first, so I actually got second, I think. But I don't know what they're going to do about the rower situation. That's the thing is, when something breaks, you don't know how fast I would have been. I think I would have held 140, but that's not fair to the other guys, so I just finished out the 2K because otherwise it's not fair because we got to run right after, and I would have been fresh. So,
yeah, I mean, good mindset to have. I think, no matter what comes and what adversity comes, you take it and you run with it, and you really did that. What are you most excited for this weekend? What events, were you looking forward to most? What do you think is going to be your most challenging, and what will you really just breeze through as an athlete?
The next one will probably be a little bit different because I don't do much sandbag work. I've been doing a little bit to help get ready, but I actually really enjoy obstacles, so I'm excited for the dummy drag, especially because I'm a firefighter, so I like to drag things and pick up heavy stuff. So the ruck was perfect because it was kind of like running with an air pack, and then the dummy drag and jerry cans and the obstacles will be sweet.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to watch you the rest of the weekend, and good luck out there.
Yeah, appreciate you. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys. Well, we are still watching some of our men complete their 2,000-meter row before they head off on that 800-meter cash out. So stick with us as we complete the Triple R.
So very interesting note there, Jason. Rylan Schneeg came in first on the 15K OCR World Championships. He was later disqualified because he used hand chalk. He didn't read the rules and was clearly upset about it, but he took it like a man. He said, guys, my bad. I didn't read the rules. I'm really sorry. And it cost him. So very interesting what happened this morning when he said I wanted to be fair to the other guys, but I think that was also in his head. Hey man, I just had an event that I didn't do exactly right. So this one, no matter what, I'm going to do the whole thing.
Yeah. Matt, I was listening to his words and trying to figure out what is the actual right answer. And, I think from a character standpoint, he absolutely is commendable to him for staying on the rower and finishing his time. But yes, I think there is going to be one that is handed back to the judges right here, where if that rower is malfunctioning, what is the answer to that?
Looks like they're talking about it now. When I watched the CrossFit Games this year, and that very first event, they screwed up the count, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, man, for a sport that counts reps as the thing, right? How do you let that happen? And how do you not turn those guys back around? And so how do you, it's one of those questions, right? Do you punish the athlete for not, quote unquote, following the rules, but a judge told them wrong, or, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, here, the difference right here, 100% is you have a piece of equipment that has malfunctioned. And, within that piece of equipment, that is outside the athlete's premise, right? Of their controllable items. So there's a balance to be found here. Very interesting to hear him talk about, the 140 pace he maintained, and that, they were going to let him go at 1500 meters. So I mean, I think there's going to be a lot to figure out right here. And as we know, not only is there pride on the line, there's money on the line.
Yeah, and in OCR, we have a lot of wacky stuff, Jason, and we're 10 years in, and it's always one of these things that's, people say, well, our sport's new and this, but it's frustrating for the viewers. It's frustrating for the athletes. We're not a sport like the NFL that has, 50 years of history, 100 years of history, and a rule book and a replay. So it's always a bummer. And again, like Jason's out here, the team's out there doing their best, and shit happens. A fucking rower breaks.
Yeah, and to be fair, you asked me, did I think this was much of the future? And we talked about kind of the specificness that gets into training, and I understand it's a competition, but we have to understand that it is life. And, as much as we want to control, as much as we want to make sure it's perfect, sometimes it may not be. And that's okay. It's life. And I agree that there is the unfairness to it, but I also agree that I do believe that vulnerability leads the way right now. And a conversation will take place with Hunter and Austin and Ryan and the entire remainder of the male competitors. And the best case scenario will be developed from this. And that's all you could ask for.
So Taylor's wife checking in. We do not know placement yet. Wishing Taylor some luck. Taylor Overmiller's from the Pacific Northwest. Met him out at Spartan out there. Great dude. Young OG says, wait to get compensation. Yes. $20,000 on the line. Big dollars, 631, 6,000 for first, second place, 3,000, third place, 1,000 for both men and women. We're going to see the women start this event pretty soon.
Yeah. And, Matt, too, what's interesting is now is we're going to watch the athletes as they, what is the protocol each of them take now, knowing that the next event that they have coming on tap is going to have sandbag clean, sandbag squats, and carries involved in it. So we've got a lot more legs to go. So watching what happens now with these athletes as they cross the finish line and prepare themselves for the event too is just as much part of this as it was what they just accomplished. So it's a good little time right now.
What do you think about this for a suggestion? They should share points for first place. What do you think?
Yeah, I actually, if you put me on the spot right now and said, hey, you got to make the call on this, I would say that I would have 2 first place winners right now.
And just split the points, and then does second place get less points?
So today I do know that this is a golf scoring system today. So for instance, first place is 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, and so on. I believe you got 2 1s right here, is what I believe, and then second, and whoever came in third still has a 3, is what I do believe.
All right, here comes Miranda and the camera guy.
Looks like we still got some finishing up here.
So Young is asking the next one. We're going to have the women start this event first. And then I believe there's a half-hour break. And then the second event.
Yeah, no, second event on deck today I know is FUBAR, which is going to be the sandbag strength complex of 5 reps of a sandbag clean, 5 reps of a sandbag squat, and a down and back carry, 100 meters.
All right, and looks like we're going to get an update from Miranda very shortly.
Can we stop them now?
Logan says this is an inaugural event scheduled for future, not determined. If you think it's too easy, try a standard race or competition first and see if you can get anywhere near these athletes. Logan, are you trying to say? I don't know what you're trying to say there, Logan. Are you trying to say? Who said it was too easy? I don't know. I thought that had more of a point. I'm sorry, Logan. You have to do better. Logan, do better, damn it. All right, Miranda's taking her sweater off. I think we might be able to ready to throw to her with an update.
Just doing her warm-up laps.
Hot mic, Miranda. Oh, okay. These guys.
We are back out here, guys. The men just completed. We have no one left on the rower, so our ladies are about to kick off. But before they do, I would like to give you a unofficial top 4 standings. So in first place, back to his rower first, even though he didn't necessarily cross the finish line first, the conclusion of the workout was touching your rower. That was number 18, Jarrett Newby. He is from the United States. Second was Rylan Shadig. He is also from the United States, and he and Jarrett were neck and neck on that run. But like I said, Jarrett touched his rower first. In third, Ryan Kent from the U.S., and then in fourth, Mr. VJ Jones. So that is our top 4 standings as of right now. Again, that is unofficial. That could change once the scoring is inputted, but we will wait to see how our ladies do on the Triple R.
All right, so no surprises on the OCR side. Rylan Shadegg, Jarrett Newby, Ryan Kent, VJ Jones. If you do this event a couple more times, you probably get an order kind of like that. I would love to talk to VJ, see how he felt. VJ is probably the fastest. If they just ran 2 miles straight, he's probably the fastest, right? So how well can he do with under a load? So I would say exactly where we thought we'd be after one event.
Yeah, very fair. And it looks like that the placings pretty much held true consistently throughout how they came in from the run from the ruck into the rower and finished out on the run. It was pretty consistent all the way through.
So the women are going to be starting soon. Maybe we can take a look at a couple of women. Tom Hogan looked lost. Can someone help him find a toilet? I don't know. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say anybody that you're calling early on the women's side of things to really be a show out right here.
Well, I thought we'd have a look at let's have a look at Calypso Sheridan.
Hey, I'm Calypso Sheridan. I'm an ex-swimmer, current OCR racer, and wannabe ultra trail runner. I'm from Brisbane, Australia. My hobbies are skydiving, riding my motorcycle, my longboard, skateboard. I love carving on that, and then just generally anything outdoors and hiking. I've recently started slacklining, and Rylan made me want to get really into paragliding. So I signed up to compete just because ever since COVID, I've really loved both physical and mental challenges. And this is kind of a really unique mix of both functional movement, cardio endurance, and grip intensive OCR courses. So I'm really excited about that, especially the OCR course, because I love hanging from things. I'm pretty much a monkey, and I'm really excited about that one. The people competing in this, all these people are people I've idolized the past few months getting into the sport, and it'll just be really awesome to meet them and get to talk to them and hear their experiences. I'm nervous, but excited.
I love it. So it looked like she had an age group medal there on Spartan. So she's testing her feet there, I guess, before moving up to the elite. She said Rylan's got her into paragliding. I guess she's been hanging out with Rylan. So Do you know what this paragliding is? It's not this crazy squirrel suits, but it's jumping off. It's still jumping off a freaking cliff and hoping the thing works.
Yeah, definitely have seen some videos of that. Definitely have not taken part of that either, and
I'm
not
here
sure
for
I
it.
will ever take part of that. But yes, I have seen what the craziness that entails.
Yeah, I think a younger me might be like, yeah, let's try that. But getting a bit older, I got a bunch of kids. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I feel you. I might pick another battle than that one right there.
So let's can you pop back on the screen here for a minute while we're waiting for this?
Yeah.
I can chat a little bit while we're waiting for the there you go. Let's get you back in here while we're waiting. So you told me that you're a lifetime explorer of human performance. What do you do to keep it interesting for yourself? Are you a set guy? Like, this is like I get up 4:30 and I'm Goggins, or what's your life like with this stuff?
Yeah, I've explored a lot of that, and what I do have is I have some set actual routines before I go to bed, and I have a very hard cutoff of that. No matter what time I go to bed, I'm going to sleep 7 hours, no matter what that means for the morning time. Of course, that means I'm planning the night before. But yes, I do have a very set routine before bed. I will sleep a minimum of 7 hours. I'm not a morning routine person per se. I believe the mornings can cause chaos. I have 5 kids, so I can't plan.
Wait a
too
minute.
hard.
Did we talk about this when we talked?
No, we have
Wait
not.
a minute. Did we talk about this when we talked before?
No.
Well, I'm going to do this for you right now. So I was about to complain. Because we are at the age where we're taking our kids to a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So last night was a party for my daughter went to a party, and it was back at the original girl's house at 11. I'm like you. I need those 7 hours, right? So I'm like, do I show up at 11 on the dot and hope? Because also it changes, right?
Right.
Like maybe I show up at 11 and she's like, oh, it turns out I could sleep over, right? And I could have gone to bed at 9:30, 10. And last night her phone wasn't working. I didn't get there till 11:30. I wasn't back in bed till now. It's my daughter. I'm thrilled to do it. I love her. We crack up. It's a great time. But man, I am with you on getting that sleep as I get older. It's non-negotiable.
Yeah. It's kind of like watching these athletes, right? Like we all want to be able to pick up heavy things and do a lot of us, right? We want to run fast or run far. But, the non-negotiables that I think we have to agree on in life, right, is like, hey, we need sleep. We need to eat real food. We need to drink water. And we need to be outside often, and that to me is the beautiful expansion of where I think all of this is going, which is, we're moving fitness into where it belongs, which is part of health and wellness, right? Like fitness is a big component of health and wellness. Are you healthy? Are you well? And people really owning that space for themselves to realize, man, like, I spoke to a group yesterday, and I didn't make this analogy up. I know you've heard it, but it's so true. If I said, I'm going to give you one car, and that one car has to last you your entire time here on planet Earth, what would you do? And we all know I'm going to take care of the car. We are no different. Take care of the only one you'll ever have.
I know, but it's definitely one of those things that you just don't, that my wife and I's favorite phrase these days, the youth is wasted on the young. Those basic 4 things: move your body, eat real food, drink water. When you're young, it's like, for me, it was like, the old sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Like that's what fueled my life. And that's what was important. And I know there were people who were into fitness, who still got up and ran every day. I used to think those people were clowns. I woke up, I passed out on the beach one morning, and I woke up and somebody was running by me, at 4:30 or 6:30. And I was like, who is this idiot? You know what I mean? So it's like these basics that the older I get, it's like, oh man, like what you hope is that you don't wait too long to take care of that body. You haven't done the irreparable damage.
Yeah. The fear becomes that there has to be a traumatic event before we invoke a change in life, right? And that often impacts us emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, relationally, you know. And that's often what in our culture we wait for it, right? Like, oh man, here is the one thing that happened. I'm going to change today because of this. You know, so for me, even with my children, is the best we can do is give them all the tools and give them all the resources, but realize at the end of the day, they are human. They are unique because they are of themselves, and they have to make these decisions for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, the way I like to phrase it, I was kind of your average softball playing dad until age 40. Like I wasn't obese, but I probably couldn't run more than a mile. And when we decided to train for my first Tough Mudder in the fall of 2011, they said the race is 10 miles. And I was like, well, that may as well be 100. I'm going to run 10 miles in a row and do these crazy, scary obstacles in between. And so I did my first one, you know, fell in love, got the bug, whatever you want to call it. And I've been doing it since. But, you know, you can be in the best shape of your life in your late 40s. And I never knew that was possible.
You know, if I would have stuck around the Marine Corps, you know, I would be in for 22 years right now, and coming into 23. And I think about it, I am definitely in better shape. And the reason I say that is because I am mentally and emotionally in better shape than I was as a young man. And we have to let that component be a big factor into the physicality of who we become. But I think you bring up a great part, right? Is when you said 10 miles to 100 miles. And, you know, I get this question often, right? Like, some of us will look at social media or this screen today, and we will define fitness by watching these athletes. But we have to remember that these athletes are defining fitness for themselves. And you and I must do the same, right? So for me, I would say when people say, you know, and I'm a very big believer in this, you must put definitions behind words, or everybody interprets the word to their own definition. So it's when people come to me, right? They say, well, what is fitness, right? So fitness to me is non-negotiable. What are the things in life you must accomplish? And what are the things in life you want to accomplish physically? That's your definition of fitness. And when people say, well, that's kind of broad, you're right. But if I say, hey, you know, you must walk, you must stand, you must, you know, get up and move to things. Then I believe it changes. You know, obviously these little trackers, right, that we wear now everybody's talked about the 8,000, 10,000. You know, I'll tell you, I have a non-negotiable in my life, which is 15,000 steps a day. Every day I will walk 15,000 steps because it holds myself accountable that I am not stopping, and I'm not sitting, and I'm not going to sit down and waste an entire day. I'm going to move my body because I only have one.
What do you do when those two negotiables? What if you haven't hit your steps yet and you got to go to bed? Which one wins out?
So there's right. Prior planning preparation prevents piss poor performance. So I live on the phone. I live on the phone a lot for my life. So if it's not video and I'm on the phone, I walk while I talk. So, you know, for me, it's planning. And but I will tell you, if it came down to it, and again, you put me on the spot, what's going to win 15,000 steps or sleep? It's going to be sleep. Because without sleep, the next day is going to be impacted negatively. The 15,000 steps, I'll move on. But sleep, I need it. I must have it.
All right. I'm going to bring in a special guest here.
Yeah.
Rich Ryan is with us. Rich Ryan is an obstacle racer, a coach. At one point, held some records over on the DECA side. What records did you hold, Rich?
Wow, thank you for that lovely intro there. It was.
Oh wait, hang on a second. Oh, look at you repping the Phillies hat. Oh my goodness.
Haven't watched any baseball until last night. Do have a Phillies hat though, so put it on.
You took out my Braves. But tell me what you think about these gentlemen that you know and competed against so well: Shattuck, Jarrett, Kent, and VJ.
So that was really impressive on the front end, especially for Rylan. I think Jared Newby came in here as the favorite for those who saw what he was able to do at Go Ruck Games, and just his ability to put in work with that kind of load. He's a bigger guy. He's about 6'4", 200, so that load isn't going to weigh on him as much. And he's just kind of a maniac when it comes to training. So he does a lot under load. So for Rylan to come in front of him on that 2 mile was very impressive. And then to be able to run him down on the track after the row, because Jared Newby is also a very highly accomplished track athlete. He ran 150 and split under 150 in the 800 as a collegiate athlete. Granted, several years ago now, he might not have those type of wheels as a 35, 36-year-old, but Rylan was very, very impressive on his fitness at the end. So it's unfortunate with the rower piece, and also that he kind of missed the finish. But Rylan's fitness is really, really strong right now.
Were you thinking what I was thinking when Rylan was talking about what happened?
It's impossible to tell. I never know what you're thinking, Matt.
Well, I mean, just that he had, we all know how his last big race ended.
Yeah, I did not consider the mishap at the rules until you did mention it, because this was simply he could have made up for the time that he lost on the row. He caught everybody on the run and he finished across the finish line first, but that's not where the race ended, and it simply just wasn't paying attention to the rules, which has bit him twice now, which is kind of a bummer.
Yeah. How much do you put in, JC, on mental if you were going to, versus physical on these kind of things?
Yeah, right. Great question. Does the body lead the mind, or does the mind lead the body? The body's smart, man. The body will not let you go to zero. It's going to shut it. It's going to give you some in the tank. Even when you think it's depleted, it's not, right? You're not going to die. Mental to me is the driver, right? Positive mental attitude, believing in what you're set out to accomplish, but also going to what Goggins has kind of made famous, right? That kind of black space, man, where you can shut it off and go and let it roll.
Can we talk about this? Two gentlemen that coach folks for a living, 75 hard, basically like you've never done anything in your life and now do this insane thing that's not really sustainable. To me, it's the same as a crash diet. I'm not sure it's healthy what he's teaching. What do you think?
I have some.
Go ahead,
JC, you go ahead first. I have some thoughts that I'd love to hear on your end.
Putting me on the spot, man. Hey,
I don't know. Maybe he's a friend of yours. I don't know.
Yeah, I have done some work with First Form. Here's what I'll say. All diets are the same. Keto, paleo, whichever diet, it's all the same. Calorie in, calorie out does not change. The only thing that changes is the descriptor we use in the diet name. And you bring up a great word, because I would introduce this to any fitness program, any diet that you ever do in your life. Is it sustainable? And can you do it for a long time? Here's why I'll give 75 hard its credit. Hey, 75 hard, if you can pick somebody up that has never touched the idea of eating healthy, moving your body, being active, and life-changing, 100% agree. I think it can be a great platform for you to jump off of. Sustainability of that, no, I do not believe it's sustainable. You're right there. But I will tell you this. For some people, they need 75 hard, and that's why I will not eliminate it.
What do you think, Rich?
I think that's a fair assessment. I liken 75 hard to P90X. If you do anything consistently for that amount of time, you're going to see results. It's just a matter of not necessarily wanting to lean on something like a challenge or a fad diet to then pull your fitness back into place. And I'm sure you can learn a lot about yourself in terms of the consistency of the training and getting up when you don't want to do it and proving to yourself that you can, even though you don't want to. But it takes more than 90 days, 75 days to have like a lifelong consistent commitment to fitness in your lifestyle.
And I think unless you've already done some basics, right, I do think that it's one of those set up for failure where, well, I missed this, so now screw it, I'll miss all of it. I think if you've got some history, you've been to the gym, you've gone to CrossFit, whatever, 6 months, a year, but you go from off the couch to 75 hard, I just feel like it's kind of like thinking you're going to I'm going to cut out all sugar, all fat. I feel like it's too hard.
Yeah. Fair. I will say though, we're in a time where hashtags rule, and highlight reels are reels, and they both coexist with our culture right now. And that's what I put a lot of this to. is it's not much of our habits of life, to include, how we lead our families and how we lead others in a setting of strength and conditioning or working out. It's culture. It's culture, right? You want to create sustainability of a culture that can thrive. So it's teaching people, how do I eat? What should I do to sleep? What should I do? What should I do during my day? I think we take a lot of things for granted. And then like a program like 75 Hard comes in, right? And it's like, oh my gosh, like these people are doing this 7 days a week and all that. And it's like, yeah, probably not sustainable, but that one or two people that probably need it because they've been absorbed into the life of hashtags and highlight reels and, these 30-second motivational clips. They're like, that's what I need to start. I've got to go all in.
And I like that it's at least hard. It's not pitching that it's an easy get fit quick type of thing, that there's real work involved in seeing results. So for that, I like it. But yeah, I mean, I'm not sure it's pitching a sustainable lifestyle. It's just a challenge to see what you can do in those moments and what it takes to actually make changes.
I will also say that one of my love languages is compliments. So I don't like
words of affirmation
a lot. I'm much more of a words of affirmation. I'm much more of a Matt, you can do it, than come on, you piece of crap. You know what I mean? I think in the pain cave, yes. Like if Mitch, if you were cheering on at the end of my wall balls, yes, I could take some of that screaming. But even then, it's more encouraging, not like fucking maggot, and I just, that kind of vibe. What I get is what I get from a lot, that kind of stuff. It just doesn't work for me.
Yeah, very fair.
I would not have survived the military, Jason, is what I'm saying. There's a reason I didn't enlist in the military.
Look, I was a Marine Corps drill instructor for 4 years on Parris Island. So, I had the opportunity to make Marines for 4 years as a drill instructor. So I did all the yelling and screaming. And I would tell you, I told every recruit the same thing I'll tell you right now. You can make it. And so can everyone else. As long as you put between the ears to say, I can make it, you'll be fine. Just like 75 Hard. If you believe and you can block out the easy, and that's why I agree with you when they say hard, I like that it's hard, because it's going to make you make a hard choice, especially if you don't have that lifestyle. I want to go grab a bag of chips and eat just 2 of them. That's all I want is 2 chips, but it's not in the diet. And for me, if you can get a person, right, to commit in that moment to say, you know what, you're right, I committed to this. I'm not going to ruin it and have these 2 chips. I'm okay with that, because there's going to be a time where you need that commitment somewhere in your life, right? Whether it's a relationship, whether it's a daily interaction, whether it's at work, there's going to be a time. But then you come out of that to realize, like, hey, I can have 2 potato chips. I'm not going to have the whole bag. And that to me is where we find health.
It's like personalizing the challenge at that point. It's like the challenge is a way to kind of kick it off, but then you can mold it to what is going to be sustainable for your lifestyle. And if it is, you don't need to abstain from everything to be healthy and well long-term. That's a good point.
Yeah. But I mean, you could put the same for Goggins. Can you go out and run 50-mile ultra marathons? Should you be running 6-7 days a week? I mean, there's a lot to these things that are like, holy cow, is that sustainable? So
yeah, for me, what hurts me the most is that dad tax of finishing my kids' plates. And I recently heard that was the phrase, is like they're done. I'm taking their plate to the kitchen, right? And there's like this much of a sandwich or this much pasta or whatever it is. And if I eat that, which I've been doing, my weight just ballooned. And, last night, it's a huge discipline for me, because I'm one of those people that it really is kind of all or nothing. Once I get down a little bit, I know that I can not be perfect. But right now it's like, yep, 1 bite equals 20 bites, because I can't just have 1. So they design chips and cookies so that you can't. That's the whole point. So yeah, man, that dad tax just crushes me, because my kids, they're eating they don't clean their plates.
That's it.
It looks like we're getting the women here starting in, let's see if I can get an update here from the ground. The women are starting in 3 minutes.
Awesome.
You want to, should we take a look at another woman? Little highlight reel?
Yeah, please do.
Let's see who I can bring up.
Hi, y'all. My name is Chris Rogloski. I am the current High Rocks World Champion, and I can record intro videos on a horse decently well. I am now from Colorado, originally from Texas. Biggest accomplishments so far are 1,300 milers. I do pretty well in the obstacle course racing scene. Super excited for Battle Bunker. It looks like a solid competition. I am always willing to throw my hat into anything that looks exciting. I am there to have a fun time, work hard, and crush some souls.
Rich Ryan.
Yes.
For those that don't know, can you begin to attempt what an amazing, rounded, versatile athlete one Chris R is?
So Chris Rogloski, she is determined to prove that she can do it all, and she seems to be doing it all pretty well. Like she had mentioned, being in the top on the podium at most Spartan National Series races this year. She finished in the podium at OCR World Championships, a High Rocks World Champion, former DECA Mile World Record holder. She loves training for all of it and doing all of it. And I think that's why she shows up at events like this, just to show that if there's a new wrinkle that people don't think that she can do, she can prove that she will do it well. I believe she was third at Go Ruck as well, maybe fourth. Or no, she was second, correct?
She was second behind Katie. She lost to Katie in the wrestling. And it looks like the women are off on the ruck.
By the way, imagine...
in between those events, go
ahead, Matt.
That's definitely Katie up the front. I was going to say I definitely see Katie and Chris up front. I was going to say in between those races, like what does she do for to relax? A couple of 100-milers. Like that's the other thing. Like just it's unbelievable. She doesn't necessarily win all the 100-milers, but she does them. She doesn't take too many weekends off.
You can see Lauren Weeks on the left side of the screen at the front of the pack as well. She's someone that is really aggressive in her racing style, so I wouldn't be surprised seeing her to be the first one in after the 2-mile, where she is not too far off from having her first child. So her fitness is still kind of rounding into shape, but she did just set the DECA Fit world record. So she has that ability for sure.
Yeah, I would love, I'd love to have some sort of wearables on some of these athletes right now, just to see how quick the heart rates just go through the roof, and see what they're ticking coming through this thing.
It's kind of a hard distance to really pace.
Yeah.
With this load, it's going to add some time for sure. So I think a lot from up front, like I mentioned with athletes like Lauren, she just wants to get to that place that makes it really hard for everyone. She's not necessarily willing to sit back and wait, which is an interesting strategy if you're not afraid of the pain cave to keep going.
Yeah, and I think there's something to be said about the pain cave too, and especially when you're a high level athlete or you've trained in conditions, right? Like you already know, hey, I've got under 30 minutes of suck right now, and I know I can put myself in this zone for under 30 minutes and just go all in. And I think you're right, man. Who can enter in the pain cave, start breaking it into time increments to be like, hey, put me in. I'm in it. Let's ride. I think that's what you see.
And I think that's what's going to happen at the front of the pack here with Lauren Weeks in there. Chris Rogloski's not afraid to go there as well. She kind of relishes those moments. And Katie Knight, we've seen her fitness is probably the highest for this style of event of anyone on the course. So we'll see how the rest of the field, like if it breaks apart like the men's did, the top 3 guys really did separate, and there was kind of the rest of the pack. We could have something similar here. Maybe a Callie Schweikart who's really good under load can be in there. I think Rachel Waters is here as well. I think there's going to be some athletes who can kind of cover the gap, but up front, I would imagine that there's going to be 3 athletes coming in that rower at about the same time.
Yeah. I've spent pretty much my entire life dedicated to the tactical population, whether or not it was wearing a uniform or training them or even now, right? And what I do now still impacts the tactical population often. For us in mindset, right, is like when I look at this, I love to see what happens during, but then I want to see what happens next, right? So in the tactical population, it's like, hey, you got 2 miles to the objective, but then I need you to fire 10 to 15 rounds out of your rifle, right? So can you control the breathing? Can you get back under an average HR where you can even possibly get on target? And to me, this is what you get a representation of, because even though they're not shooting, they are now getting on a rower. Now you have different components coming back into play. There's a different mental piece that adds. So for me, that's what I think separates these athletes often, even the ones that push the pace, is the fact that when they get to the objective, the rower, there's no delay. They are already preparing themselves mentally and physically for the next level.
They're going to hurt coming off of the 2 mile, and then they got to get on the rower. It's probably going to feel good for 2 pulls, and then it's immediately going to hurt again. So they really have to be mentally ready for the type of physical exertion that they're going to have to put out there for that rower, because the rower is just a machine that you can keep going even though you really don't want to.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that mentally, when we talk about like the mental toughness to it in the pain cave, is the fact that unlike this 2 mile, you really don't know where you are. I'm sure they're getting an update like, hey, here's the 1 mile mark possibly, or here's the, but with the rower, you get every micro detail of how far you've gone. And that plays here.
It could be a benefit and also can really be kind of demoralizing when you come across 750 meters and you have 1,250 meters left. That's not an awesome feeling. And to get off and run after that without the load is going to be a really interesting sensation, because your body is going to be screaming at you to really slow down, but you can go faster than what you have gone in the previous, say, 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, absolutely. I love seeing this lead pack, though. They are, those top 3 are sticking right there together.
Let's see what we can, if we can up front, then that looks like Lauren Weeks. That is her style of running for sure. A little bit shorter in stature. I cannot necessarily make out who is in second or third there. It might be Callie in third, kind of trying to cover this front move. She's a little bit taller with red hair. And second, it looks like lighter hair, so that could be Chris or that could be Katie. I'm not sure. With Katie Knight in this, the place to get away from her would be the run. She's very impressive on the functional side of things, and we've seen her do really well in the ultra endurance space, the 24-hour races. We don't really know what kind of high-end output she has in running. We've seen her in OCR stars the past 2 years, where there would be like a flat 6 mile, a flat 3 mile, and she kind of finishes mid-pack. So this might be a place where these athletes know that they need to kind of separate from her, and maybe that's what happened. But she could also be in second, and everything I said could just be wrong.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, no, that lead pack, though, they look like they've separated themselves by quite a bit from the remainder of the competitors, which is interesting to see that much pace difference, with just 3 of them separating like that.
And we are about 7 minutes or so into this ruck. Did we get a time on the men when they came in on the ruck side of things?
Oh, we weren't exact, but it was
10 unofficially.
I cannot imagine that they were running 5-minute miles, even without a ruck.
They texted me at 9:46 and said started, and then at 9:56 we saw them. So I
don't want to doubt. I don't want to be a doubter. I mean, every time I try to doubt someone like a Rylan, it proves me wrong. Same with Chris. But running 2 5-minute miles, I would be hard pressed to think that anyone in the field could do that without weight.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then they gave me the wrong start time, but we saw the women's start. So
the course might be short. That could be if that was the case, it might not be a full 2 miles.
Well, we'll know shortly, right? With the women. So the women started at what time? 9:46.
7:45. Western.
Oh, I forgot. You're in Colorado, buddy. I always forget.
Mountain. It is hard to tell who's in second, Matt. I don't know if you got eyeballs on this, if you could help me out with this. I think it's Callie Schweikart in third. It looks like they're kind of separated from her. This is definitely Lauren Weeks in front. So this could be Chris or Katie Knight in second behind her. And third, I thought that was Callie, but I cannot make it out. So anyone in the audience, if you could help us out as well.
Yeah, very interesting watching those front two also. Very
we
similar.
Hang on. We should be able to tell who's in second here. Whose hair bounces like that? That's definitely Lauren in front. You were right.
Tyler Overmiller said he got 1.86 on the ruck.
Oh, look at Tyler. Tyler, you're the man, dude. Send me a text, buddy. I have other questions for you, buddy. Oven Mitt, checking in live. So we
could expect to be a little bit faster.
So Peter says, is that Ida?
Oh, it would be Ida. I would be very impressed if this is Ida running with this type of load on, but it very well could be Ida. That is a good call. She's probably one of the better runners in this field. We'll see what she can do on this rower, but it's great to see that she's putting it out there. I think it's a smart strategy on her end.
Oh, Johnny is Oven Mitt, not Taylor. That's Johnny Martin.
Oh, sorry, Johnny.
Jesus Christ. Oops, sorry, guys.
My bad.
So, by the way, good call, Rich, because I was sure they started at the time they started, and I know with my own eyes what time they finished. So, good call. Quick deduction skills. You're a sleuth. You figured out the course was short.
Thank you. And that's still running 5:25s with the bag if it was in fact 1.86 and they finish in 10 minutes. So they're still probably running right around 5:30s, which is faster than any of these athletes really anticipated. I know Ryan Kemp was thinking that it would be closer to 6:30. So Rylan really kind of put that down and was able to kind of separate. So very impressive on their end.
Yeah. And I think, to be fair, you have a beautiful morning to run. Looking at the temperatures, and where they're located geographically. I mean, beautiful morning to get out and get after it.
So then we are just about 10 minutes into this race. So let's see if we can anticipate what time they will be done.
So it looks like they're coming up into the track area, which is the rowers. So they are very close. Looking at this course, it looks like they're very close to coming into the rower.
If these women are running 6:30s, that would be about 12 minutes for 1.86. And that, again, would be very fast. But like we talked about.
It looks like Lauren, Ida, Callie, top three. So it looks like you were correct on Lauren in the front, Callie in the back, Ida second. Do you think Ida is coming into this event with a chip on her shoulder, considering Katie and Chris are getting all the hype for this one?
I would imagine Ida is coming into this without any type of pressure. I think it's all fun. She just wants to see what she's what she's able to do in this.
And here we go. So here they are neck and neck. That's Lauren, who is 5 months postpartum. Ida, looks like Ida's about to pass her. Lauren told me before this event, she's definitely not 100%, but she's so excited to get back on the field. She has been High Rocks world champion twice. She did High Rocks 9 months pregnant. And here she is leading this event just 4 or 5 months after having a baby. Baby was July, August, September, October, November. Oh, my goodness. It's been 3 months? I'm bad at math. Anyway, it was recently.
She's that close postpartum.
And she also set the Decafit world record like a month ago.
Man. Hey, I'm going to pause it, and I'm going to give it. And again, the queen of my life, my wife, and we have 5 kids, to all the women out there that come back in to a level of fitness.
Big shouts.
Kudos.
So that's the husband right there.
3.5
Mr. Wild Paracini himself. Love it, buddy. Are you out there, Anthony? Are you out there right now? You got to be out there.
You think he's watching it live and
or
watching?
Maybe he's with the baby.
Wants to hear you so much that he watches live and watches your coverage.
So we're about to throw to Miranda, but it looks like our eyes on the ground there. Johnny is giving us a Jareen, Chris, and Katie 4, 5, 6.
That's.
You think Katie's holding back a little here, Chris and Katie?
Well, you were off screen. The one thing that we were saying is that if there's an area where she might be weakest in, it is this time domain in running. Like we've seen her do really well on the longer stuff, the functional fitness stuff, but running at like a 5K effort for this distance, we haven't seen how well she can do.
All right, so 10:57. So how fast was that, buddy?
So what was it? Right around. How long was that? When did they start? 45?
All right, here we go.
are getting ready to start their row. We actually have two athletes who have come in. I believe you pronounce her name Ida Stensgaard. She is from Denmark. She is number 52. She was the first one to start her 2,000 meter row. These athletes have pivoted a little bit. Instead of a 2K for the women, they are going to be completing a 1,000 meter row before they take off on their 800 meter run sprint. Hang out with us. I'm going to be calling the action right here on our rowers to tell you who is coming in first before they take off on that run. So stay with us.
Rich, what was your thought?
A change in the rules mid event is just very OCR, and it changes the event completely. These athletes could be prepared to get on this row and sit there for 8 minutes, and now it's going to be half of that. That changes the run portion entirely. So maybe that's what Ida was thinking. It's probably going to be a weaker part for her. She looks pretty good so far, but to really hammer that run, because there's not going to be that much time that she can lose now on the 2K. This is so you can hear Hunter saying that there are busted rowers. I don't know if this was happening. So did he just say that 2K and 1K if you're on a broken rower? Is that what?
No. 1K for everyone. Talk to me about Callie's form here. What can you tell us?
So what you want to see, one of the main things is how wobbly that chain is, and if that, like, how efficient you're moving through your hips and pressing through your legs. Callie's is okay. She's probably releasing her arms a little bit sooner than she's bringing back from her hips. You want to see that handle get beyond your knees before you bend your knees so you can keep it efficient. Everyone looks pretty good. I mean, Lauren is probably the best rower in this field right now, who is the one furthest right behind Callie. So it looks fairly strong.
What are you seeing, JC?
Yeah, I mean, I think Justin Medeiros did a great interview yesterday at the Rogue Invitational when they got off the rower and they were asking him about, hey, what do you try to find in the rower, right? And you pretty much have two things you're going to do right here. Either you're going for big, long, hard pulls, or you're going for short, fast pulls. Pretty much the two methodologies behind the rower in a race, per se. What I see really is a majority are on that same type idea right here, which is a nice, long, hard pull that they're coming out of. What I think we're going to see a change is that when they get to about that 800-meter mark, 900-meter mark, you're going to start seeing the mental part slapping in, and you're going to start seeing quick pulls trying to just race to the 1,000 meters. Overall, though, not bad. You see the big variation is where the back and the spine, how many are staying through and letting the lats drive, and how many are leaning back and really causing a kind of a stress into the lower lumbar that not necessarily is needed. But then again, you got 800 meters left, so will you even feel that pain?
So is it smart, though, to change that? Shouldn't we say smooth is steady, smooth is fast?
Of course, right? But again, we were talking about it, Matt, a minute ago. The thing with the rower is you get to see every micro detail of what you're doing. Every meter you row, every second you lose or gain. So that can play into the athlete where they lose focus on their what they've been training to do, and they get into the idea of, let me just move this meter faster. Let me get my time faster, and technique breaks down.
So we got Callie on the left. We got Amber Nelson on the right. Amber has turned herself into an athlete. She's lost over 100 pounds in her OCR/fitness journey the last 2-3 years. It is great to see folks like that getting in there, mixing it up.
Has she really? Wow.
It looks like Callie's holding under 2 minutes on this 1K row, so that is something I would imagine the high-end athlete to be around 150, maybe slightly under after that 2-mile run, and knowing that there is an 800-meter run after it, a 2-mile ruck, I should say. So Callie's moving at a good clip here. We would imagine that Lauren, and it'd be interesting to see how Ida is doing coming off of this, because I don't think this is a machine that she spends too much time on.
So Alec, who ran the event for the men, said he clocked it at 1.86, but the hills more than accounted for the short distance. Insane pace.
If we had the women right around 13 minutes or so, it was about a 7-minute pace for Lauren and Ida coming off that, which is very fast.
I'm still mesmerized 3.5 months postpartum. That is unreal.
She was the one that I was telling you who is not she's willing to go to that pain cave as soon as possible. So I think the mental part and her ability to do what it takes to win, as we've seen her be High Rocks champion, Spartan Games champion, she's willing to go to that place and go there quickly.
Yeah, I mean, no offense to this. Obviously, her husband's listening, but it sounds like the woman that delivers the baby hops her right up off the table and starts, walking and pacing the hospital, not to lose track of her fitness, where she was before she had the baby, incredible.
And I think what's great about Lauren is, we met Lauren in TMX 2018. She was working out. Yancey started working with her, sends her to TMX, which was this 1 mile, the toughest mile on the planet. We called it 1 mile with workout stations and obstacles in between. Did okay there, and then started just dominating the High Rocks world. And, really regular gal, not on social media a lot, not a fitness influencer, just a woman who shows up, trains, and takes care of business.
Yeah, I love it, man. I'm a fan, big fan.
Matt, what time did they get on the rower? Did we see?
What did we say, 9:56? Or, sorry, 10:56 Eastern?
10:56. So they've been about 9 minutes. You would imagine that the 1K would be done by now. It should be about 4 or under.
Hey, Matt, I'm making a note, but I want to come back to the young lady that has lost 100 pounds.
Right, we're looking at her right now, actually. She's the closest to the screen right now. Yeah, that's Amber Nelson.
When we have downtime between events, man, I want to dig in that one a little bit more.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm with you. I would feel that they're at the end of the row right now if it was 1,000 meters. Right?
I thought I heard Hunter say 2K row, 1K if it's a busted rower. I don't know if I've ever been on a busted rower.
He didn't say that, though, did he?
I thought in the background, the woman on the sideline, name I forget, I'm sorry. She said that it was turning 1K, but then I thought I heard Hunter say 2K unless it's a busted rower, then 1K. Interesting way to adjust things, but
I'm also
based on the time frame right now, they should be done with 1K.
I'm also getting from the field the leaderboard. Well, hang on, sorry, it's still unofficial.
Judge, rower 2 needs a judge.
Rower 2 needs a judge.
So
you can see our friend Amber. You can see that form starting to break down, right? It's starting to wobble a little bit more, like you said.
Can we see the distance on Callie's? I don't see that. Looks like Callie's popping off.
Is she the first one off? First runner off, Callie.
Oh, the wrong way. Ida's going the wrong way. Oh my God.
Oh, that's got to be. Oh boy. All right, and that did cost a few seconds and that is in fact our postpartum athlete, Lauren, in second. So those few seconds might cost her.
Looks like Callie was out first, went the right direction. Ida's in second, and Lauren's in third. Generally speaking, Ida and Lauren are going to be faster runners on a track surface than Callie. But after all of this work, Callie has been preparing for a 24-hour race, so she has been putting in high volume, and she's a very strong athlete, so maybe it didn't take out too much from her. But you can see just the cadence of how Ida and Lauren are running right now, and where Callie's coming, it looks like they might catch her.
Second is tracking her down. Her stride is on point right now.
We'll see what kind of push Lauren can pull with 600 meters to go. But it looks like Ida is going to make a pass right here on that front stretch.
Wow. And she turned the wrong way.
Not a track athlete.
Talking about the mental game, Jason. Talking about that mental game.
Yeah, there's no doubt, man. She, I live here where CJ Cummings lives, and CJ Cummings was called the next greatest thing of Olympic weightlifting, and to the point that they've done blood draws and sent him into labs to figure out what was different. And at the end of all of it, the only thing that it came down to was we don't know. And somebody like that, to me, is another one where we don't know. It's the fact that what she has up here, I mean, you turn the wrong way, throw your hands in the air like, oh man, silly me, and track down first place. Like,
it looks like Ida, this athlete who's right in front of Ida, is in 4th or 5th. She's a lap behind. Looks like Ida is lengthening over Callie. I would love to see if Lauren is tracking down Callie as well. And remember, we got to finish at the rowers, so let's see if Ida will have that mental wherewithal as well.
Is this lap 1 we're still on?
Ida has 200 meters left. She's about done.
About done. Okay, then. I looked down for a minute. I'm trying to keep tabs on the notes from the field, too. So I looked down. I didn't realize they already came through.
And again, this is an athlete who has another lap left, but this is the final 100 for Ida.
Judges be ready.
Here come the
Hunter McIntyre saying, judges be ready.
Ida Steensgaard. And let's see, she needs to turn off and go to that rower. Do not go to the finish line.
Okay, here we go.
There we go.
We have our first women athlete coming in, touching her rower in first place. That is Ida Steensgaard from Denmark.
No camera.
Right behind her, we have 2 more athletes coming in to finish. They have to cross this finish line and then go over and touch their rower.
This looks like Callie.
Callie Swickert just came in. Right behind her, I believe, is Lauren Weeks, number 39. She touched her rower 3rd. We have some of our ladies still running in from their 800-meter sprint. We will see who takes 4th.
who was
very impressive? That would look like Ida, who came in first. I would be interested if Lauren had one of the busted rowers, because I wouldn't think that she would be that much behind Callie on a row. But that's just speculation.
Have you all seen with like the high rock side of things? Very curious, man. You know, the push for non-electric cardio equipment, I think it was beautiful, right? Assault runners, ski ergs, Concept 2 rowers, great ideas. But in competition, there's a lot that can go wrong with one of those pieces of equipment. Have you all seen anything in the high rock side of things where it has? I think we're going to Miranda. Sorry.
I think we're dropping down to Miranda.
I am here with Ida. Ida, how do you pronounce your last name? Mathilde Steensgaard. She is from Denmark, and she just completed the Triple R event. Ida, how do you feel now that I'm getting you completely out of breath? But how do you feel after that event?
I mean, that last 800-meter sprint was just so brutal. Like, coming up the rower, your legs were like jelly, and yeah, I really had to fight for it. So super hard, but really cool, like good amount of time. So like really suffer, but not being too short, not too long. So it was really good.
I like it. Well, those are 3 really difficult movements, coming from a ruck, dropping the weight, getting on a rower, still having to keep your endurance up for that final run. So it's more of a mental battle than anything. What are you most excited for throughout the weekend? What event are you looking forward to most?
Well, for sure, the assault course, that's like the obstacle course. That's my background. I really love to do. The shorter, the more obstacles, the better. I do like these endurance events. I'm a little bit afraid of the like foo bar, the heavy one, but let's see. It started out well, so I'm hoping for the best.
Well, the best is yet to come. Good luck out there today.
Let's go. Finish strong, Faye. Come on, Shannon.
That's a very impressive effort out of Ida on this. I did not expect her to do so well under load, or to be, honestly, as fast as she was on that rower. She probably is the favorite to win that obstacle course. This puts her in a good position for the rest of the day.
Absolutely, but as she said, foo bar was going to be her weak spot. So can she finish high enough to balance it out?
Right. To go back to your question about the standardization of the machines in high rocks, we haven't really seen an issue with the ski erg or the rower necessarily. It seems to be the sleds that have been the hardest to standardize across venues that creates the biggest discrepancy in the times.
Well, you undersold that. It's not just a little problem. Do you want to explain how big of a problem it is?
We don't even know how, like, it could be a swing of 2 minutes in for one station in a High Rocks event. So it's something that they're trying to figure out. They haven't quite. I don't think they have the sleds across the globe as the same even model. So everything's a little bit different. The venues end up being different. And for a time-based race, and then there's qualifications based off of your time. It's a pretty big problem, Matt.
Yeah, I would say with each venue is different. So sometimes you're running 2.5 laps, sometimes you're running 2, sometimes even 3. And even that is, hey, just do what you can on the day. But this sled thing, they've got to figure out. We've heard all kinds of different reasons, different plates, different sleds, different manufacturers, shipping issues. And I know they're doing their best. And High Rocks otherwise runs an amazing event. But this is a world competition. And when the fastest guy in Europe can do it a minute faster than the fastest guy in America, and that person happens to be Hunter McIntyre, so you know it's not fitness, right? It's not about, what do they say in CrossFit? He was capable, right? Like, it's not about capability. They need to sort that one out.
Yeah, I to be fair, I have not spent enough time kind of looking at the sled specifically, to the event. Obviously, a lot of things are coming out good, like the Torque sled has become a very cool piece of gear. Then you go back to the traditional 3-legged push-pull sled that was invented. But I'll tell you that, even for us, like with Beaverfit North America, we use a drag sled, just the old school canvas sleds, right? And that's specific to the Army Combat Fitness test. The one thing about that piece of gear that makes it work is it can go anywhere. And it's very easy to pack. It's very easy to distribute. It's very easy to slap whatever weight system you want to utilize, right? If you want to put a 45-pound bumper, which like all big Army has 45-pound bumpers, you can slap that in the drag sled if it's 245. So I'll be curious. I wonder if there might be some beauty in the basics to that answer. And that is to go back to a much simpler concept of like a drag canvas sled, that at the end of the day, you're putting so much back on the athlete and not the equipment. And the reason I say that is because technique will matter with, do you cross the canvas sled up? Do you, pull off too hard? And I'm much more a fan of putting it in the athlete's hands, not the piece of equipment's hands, to figure it out.
Totally agree. And like a simple piece of equipment just to drag like that would make it easier to standardize. It's a little bit cheaper as well, I believe, than something like a Rogue dog sled. The issue on the High Rock side of things is they don't have the plates standardized. The height of the poles aren't standardized. So you might be right. Something easier or more simple might be a better option.
Yeah.
Not exactly sure what other athletes coming in.
We had Thomas, who's coaching Ida, say he told us she was going to win. So congratulations. He said she prepared perfectly for this.
Yeah, sounds like it. Seems like she did come into this with something to prove. Matt, maybe you were right that she had a bit of a chip on her shoulder or a bit of an underdog mentality coming into this.
Yeah, I mean, I think her interview sums it up of who she is, right? She said, I wrote it down. She said it's a great amount of time to really suffer. She's not afraid.
She wasn't afraid. That is correct.
Well, I think, again, if you know your weak spot is event 2, right? Your strongest is probably event 3. Then it's like, okay, if I win event 1, I'm putting myself in the right position. I don't know if that's what their coach said. Thomas, maybe you can help me. But I think that would be, a strong one. I think she's well favorite on the obstacle course. The men, it's probably going to be closer, don't you think?
Maybe Chris is really good at those technical obstacles as well. Maybe she could hang, and depending on how much running was in between. We saw Ida kind of take it to Chris early in the year in a Savage race, which is probably the most close. But I don't know exactly how this format is set up, how technical these obstacles are going to be. But on the men's side, yeah, it's up for grabs. You have someone like Leon in there, Leon Kofed, who could be more of an obstacle specialist who we weren't able to really see. We have VJ Jones, who finished 4th in this event, puts him in a pretty good spot, honestly, if he can get through the heavyweights at FUBAR. And you can't count out Jared Newby on an event like that. He lives on an obstacle. He made his house, his home where he lives, an obstacle compound, the home of Noob Sanity. So he is on obstacles often. Ryan Kent's one of the best OCR athletes that we've seen. Rylan Shadag has proven that he can do pretty much all the stuff. So it's going to be really tight on the men's side for that obstacle course.
So Lauren's husband, Anthony, was asking. We're getting the top 3 momentarily. We will have, I believe, a top 5 for you. Looks like Katie's getting an interview over there, and this is Ida on the near screen. I love this camera. Can we keep this nice, bright, shiny camera going? This looks beautiful.
Answer is no. That is a nice. That is a good camera, though.
Oh, I was going to ask you something else, Rich. Rich, are you watching Rogue?
I tuned in yesterday. I saw the Texas run or whatever they called it.
Texas Trail.
That was a pretty cool event for that was a very OCR like battle bunkery type event. I think it's safe to say that Rylan would have won that event. I think all 3 of the top athletes here would have won that event there, but that's not what you can't compare what CrossFitters are doing on their feet and running to what OCR athletes are doing. So once the strength stuff comes out, I haven't caught any of the more CrossFit centric things yet.
What did you think, Jason, about muscle ups on a massively thick bar?
Yeah, man. Hey, I was just leading into that. I was gonna, kind of go with what Austin tell us, right? It was like with the creation of Battle Bunker, what is HyperCon? Like, what does it mean? And the idea of sport of simulating real world events and scenarios, jumping, running, pushing, pulling, lifting. No movement that we do for HyperCon is not practical. They don't do handstand walks. They don't do Olympic lifts. No butterfly pull-ups. They simulate dragging friends to safety, pulling yourself over a ledge, climbing a rope, running over distance, carrying a loaded pack. All of the things that they are testing today are practical movement. I lead that into this, that, hey, that to me is no knock on CrossFit competition by any means. I think changing the everyday play that everybody can get used to, gripping the same circumference of a pull-up bar over and over for a muscle up by simply making that larger is a beautiful thing. Because now what we have even across the entire playing field is I've never done this before is probably went through everybody's head. And to me, that's where you really find the athlete in the individual, right? Who doesn't say, I haven't done this before. They knock the first muscle up and say, wow, this log is bigger. Keep going. Keep moving. So I thought it was great, man.
I agree from a real life perspective in terms of practicality. Those type of events are interesting. But in terms of a sport, I don't like when they throw those type of wrinkles that are not preparable, because in all these other sports and the mental side of things that we've talked about so often here is how much you're willing to put into a specific task to improve. And then when it gets turned on like, well, Go Ruck's a good example, right? Everything was in line. And at the end, wrestling. It's like something that's not preparable. It's like, okay, well, this is like a real life thing. It's like, well, is this a fitness event or is this a life preparation event? And I think that's where things kind of converge and get a little bit funny on the CrossFit side of things.
Yeah. Of course,
not out there alone.
Hang on.
So the women are finishing with the last competitor.
Yeah, great to see for sure.
It looks that way.
This is what we love to see in the sport of OCR and HyperCon, is that it's about camaraderie and just cheering each other on. Although we have one final athlete out there on the 800-meter run, these ladies are not letting her go alone. They are right beside her running to finish this event, and it is so encouraging to see.
We're trying to get the...
We got your last runner. She's the only one out there, and everybody's cheering her on.
Did she stop? Did she stop for a minute?
Maybe she's getting sick. I don't know.
That's very possible.
All right, guys, I am here to give you our top 3 finishers for our women's division. And this is an unofficial score because these scores still have to be rounded out from all 3 events on the Triple R. But currently sitting in first is Ida Stensgaard from Denmark. In second, we have Lauren Weeks. In third, we have Callie Schweikart. In fourth and fifth, it was a very close, but Chris Roglowski and Katie Knight. Like I said, those are unofficial scores, but that is our top 5 for our women. Our top 3 for our men, unofficially, currently are Ryan Shadig, Second is Jarrett Newby, and third is Ryan Kent. Like I said, unofficial scores, but here in about 30 minutes, we should have an official leaderboard for you guys coming up. We are finishing off our Triple R. We still have one athlete finishing her 800-meter run. Watch and see the action.
So again, Rich, just like the men, no surprises. Ida, Lauren, Callie, Chris, Katie run this event back again. Similar top 3, similar top 5, yes?
I would say that Ida is a bit of a surprise here, especially to take that win. And to answer Anthony's question, yeah, I guess Lauren did finish in second there. I thought we would have seen Katie and Chris maybe in that top 3 as opposed to Ida. So I think that is a bit of a surprise. And was Rylan, they said, was the top finisher? Did they give him the win after the row malfunction?
I'm going to message right now to see what we can get.
Yeah, I was tracking the same thing. That is different than the original placements. That
Angel Ramiro, she's got to cross that finish line, head over to her rower and tap it for her final time as she completes the Triple R event. Everybody's clapping, hands are in the air. The camaraderie is huge, and it is no small feat that she just completed this event.
All right, Angel Romero, congratulations. That's awesome to see the women do that. Love to see it. Rich, you've made Ida's coach mad.
He should be proud that she was prepared so well. But historically, we haven't seen her in any type of hybrid fitness event. So to say it was a surprise, I don't think is an understatement.
Right. Everybody always, it's always, we're doing these live streams with the community. We know these guys, we know their families, we know their friends, and it's always, why did you say this about my friend? Why aren't you cheering on my cousin? It sounds like you're against them. It's like all the Braves fans are convinced that Tim McGraw, what's his name? Tim McGraw? What the hell is his name? The commentator. I know Rich is too young to remember this, but when the Braves were in the playoffs every year, it was like, they're against us. Why can't I think of his name? Somebody help me out.
Probably not Tim McGraw. I don't know, but I'm guessing not.
What the heck's his name? Who is the guy that used to announce all the baseball? So they're about to take a break here, and so are we. I think we're going to take a 30-minute break. Y'all can grab some coffee. Maybe you're ready for a quick workout. I don't know what your morning's like.
Yep.
Oh, I got.
So, Rich, maybe we can bring it back a little bit later. We're going to take a break. The schedule is to be back on the field. Let's remove this from the stream here. Back on the field in, is that 3 hours? I'm bad at time, guys. Sorry.
No, it looks like West Coast time. We'll be back on field coverage at 10:25 Western time.
So that's 2 hours from now. That's 2 hours from now,
1:25
right?
Eastern. Yeah.
So let's take a break.
Yeah. Hey, Rich, right when we take this break, I wanted to finish it because we left it kind of hanging. And I didn't want to leave it hanging when we talked about sport, you know what I mean? And the how much do you change? Because I think it's a conversation piece, like we've already talked about it with the sleds, right? And all these other ideas of like, man, how much does it impact sport? You know, I think we all have to, we'll have to make a stance, right? Is it the movement patterns and the skill set that's important, or is it the resource that is utilized that is of importance in the sport? And why I do agree with you, sport, right? That could seem unfair, but I do think it becomes everybody's mindset of like, on NFL on Sunday mornings, you may have prepared in sunny Tampa Bay and flew to New England and have to play in the snow. It changed the dynamic of the game. And is that what CrossFit and everybody is searching for by introducing possibly new bars or new, an axle bar over a traditional Texas barbell, and maybe that's the search here. I'm not sure.
Right. And I think an analogy that I would use for that, if you're preparing in Miami, you go to Buffalo and then they hand you a basketball to play with. It's just so different.
Absolutely.
you know, and it is just the methodology. It's like, do you want to be prepared for anything that throws your way, or you want to get honed down and as specialized as possible? And I think what CrossFit likes to keep things open and broad, and it seems like events like this as well. It's like, okay, you can do one thing very well, but what happens in a life circumstance when things aren't exactly the way you prepared? Like, how can your mental wherewithal, how are you able to adjust? Because you have the strength, you have the endurance, but how can you adjust on the fly to make things better?
Yeah. Great point, man.
Cool. Fellas, thanks for having me. I think this will probably be it for me for the day. Go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
And listen, before we let you go, Tim McCarver. Tim McCarver is the person that
I knew it wasn't McGraw.
I couldn't remember. Tim McCarver. Oh my goodness. Well, listen, we're gonna take about what did we say here? 90-minute break?
Somewhere right about a 90-minute to 2-hour break before it's coverage back on the field here.
Yeah, and
all right, Rich.
Sounds
thank
good,
you
guys.
So much
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Have fun today.
See you later, buddy. Oh, JC, I wasn't quite ready to say bye to you. I was trying to say bye to this guy. All right, so it's me. So all right, everybody, we're gonna take a little break here. Let's put up something to let folks know we'll be back. Thank you so much for joining us. The next event up is, in fact, the FUBAR Strength Complex 5 reps sandbag clean, 5 reps sandbag squat, down and back carry 100 meters. See you in a bit.